Okay. So hello, everybody. Christine here. Thank you so much for coming on live. I am ready for your questions at the end of the presentation. So feel free to go ahead and you can either write the questions in the chat box as I go along. I'm going to go really fast. There's a ton of content to go over for cracking the community code. So I'm super excited to go through that with you. And like I said, you can either write it in the chat box or you can go on video. I'll unmute. Well, actually, you can unmute yourself at the end and ask a question in real time. So we will go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen again. And I know the time zone was a little difficult for some people. So we are recording this. So if you're taking notes, I'm happy to send you a recording also. And let's launch right into it. And as most of you guys already know, I'm the co-founder of Kndrd, which is software for the co-living and community living space, which is almost a hybrid of hotel management and property management software. And I do want to just quickly talk about, I know the coronavirus is on everybody's top of mind for everybody. It's currently the #1 searched word on Google right now, out of all the words. And so, you know, I actually have a call. I have a really good friend who is, actually has her master's in public health. And I have a call into her, hoping to speak to her in details, especially those that are running really large communities in smaller spaces. Just some tips and ways that people can protect themselves or prepare. And so they can, I'll definitely pass that on to all of you guys. We're actually gonna write an article on it as soon as she gets back to us. So that I will be sure to pass on. And then next is we have, let me move this real quick. Okay, so you guys, I definitely want to go over this in detail. And this is a true story. I actually went onto co-living websites, some of the larger players around the world, and I wanted to see the word any word that had to do with community, and I screenshot it. And or tribe, tribe's also another word for community, obviously. And every single website I went to had some word of community on their like homepage. I thought I might have to check multiple pages before I could find it, and it was every single one I went to had it. So of course, again, like everybody's saying they have community, but I really, really want to dive deep into what makes a great community when it comes to co-living. And also, I want us to just kind of fast forward and imagine the future of co-living when things change, and things always change. We already know that, right? So, I'm looking down because I made a few notes too. I want to make sure I cover everything. I am obviously the biggest optimist in the world. Everybody knows that, but you still want to be realistic, and you still want to see, you want to plan for the future. So let's say, vacancy rates, started going up, occupancy started going down, or maybe in your city, and I'm already seeing this, like in Los Angeles, for instance, there's a lot of co-living that popped up almost overnight. And literally there are two concepts in Los Angeles that are sharing a back wall, which blew my mind. So imagine you have a competing co-living operation right next to yours. And like, how are you going to plan for that? What sets yours apart? How strong is your community? And that's what these residents and guests are going to start realizing is, do they have real community and connection living in your community? Is there trust and respect amongst all the housemates? Do you guys host fun and creative events? Have they made friends there? So these are all things that people, again, once things, again, when there's a super tight rental market, people are just going to take whatever they can get, right? And especially some of these gateway cities that like they're struggling to even find a place to live right now, but that could change. So a question I get asked the most, that I hear the most is, should we build and grow our own communities? Should we as operators proactively do that? Or should we have a very hands-off approach in that? I have a very strong opinion on this. I'm going to be honest. There's some few things I have very strong opinions on. This is one of them. I do think you guys need to take the time and effort to build and grow and nurture your community. And it is, I'm not going to lie, it is a lot of work. I've seen, there was a very large operator out of Paris, and last summer I heard them speak in London. I was in the audience. And, they were like, oh, well, we've learned, we take a hands-off approach. We learned that the residents and guests, they want to plan their own events. But then I pulled him aside. I go, oh, well, how many events are they planning on their own? And he goes, oh, well, like 2 a month. And this is a very large community, so that's not a lot of events. To put in perspective, there's a large operator doing 80 events a month. So I just think that is an easy cop out for the operator to say, oh, well, we'll just let the residents do it. And, obviously there's a cost to that. You're paying a community manager, so you're paying team members, you're using time and resources to facilitate that community and to do that in a proactive way. And that's why I always tell people co-living definitely skews on the side of hospitality more than it does on just regular property management. Because otherwise, if you guys aren't building community, you're not doing events, your roommates are kind of strangers, they don't interact, then it's just a regular place to live, to be honest. So just, having that proactive approach is always helpful. Okay, I did block out the names, just like I blocked out the names on the community, on the other screenshots of the community features. These are some bad reviews. You guys can, obviously you can look on Yelp yourself and Google reviews. Actually, I encourage you guys to do that because there's some tips and secrets I'm going to give you. Again, we're not going to say which one this is. I just kind of randomly started searching. These are, they mention, okay, they act like, they buy cheap stuff, and then they act like it's, quote, so community centric, a total joke. The only reason I know everybody lives in this flat is because it's cheap, but there's only 1 bathroom, 4 people. So, that's important. So people are going to start talking about, okay, you have community lists on your website, but we move in and there is no community. So you just want to be cognizant of this. This one is very interesting. She wrote, there's a ellipses in the middle of this because the review, this 1-star bad review, was so long I couldn't screenshot the whole thing. But she, again, I blocked the name out. This is a different concept, by the way. interesting with this is she's very mad. She gave 1 star. However, they do offer some killer community events that offer superb cheese platters, and so she still liked that part, but she still said, everyday comfortable living conditions outweigh the social events, no matter how high quality the Gouda. Actually, this was actually pretty funny. The whole thing was a pretty funny review. So, again, I'm showing you guys these bad reviews. Okay, this is the last one. Again, another concept. They lure you in with a nice apartment, sometimes cheaper than other ones. He doesn't mention anything about events or community. However, again, for you guys, for all the operators, I want to make sure that you guys are actually reading, especially in your city, read some bad reviews of other operators and read some good ones, because that's going to give you guys this leading edge of okay, we've got a good feel for what people really want when they co-live. We know what makes them mad and we know what makes them happy. And then again, just really play that up, because sometimes it would surprise you on the little things that really bother people, and then the big things that, or the little things that make them happy, and just play that up. And that will just set your community even that much more ahead of everybody else's if you guys are proactively paying attention to this. We all know we now live in an experience economy. Experiences over things. You can see it on Instagram every day. It's the experience pictures. It's not the pictures of a watch or a fancy car. Residents crave the experience economy. They want flexibility. They want social events, opportunities, and they really want to build real community and connections. And that's huge. So let's see here. Is somebody, okay, there we go. I had to just make sure everybody's on mute. And so access over ownership is huge too, right? So, how easy to access a cool co-living place with furniture and pots and pans and sheets and everything all in, and I'm just making one payment per month. That's what they care about. And let's see here. And they're moving, again, fast forward 5 years. Let's say vacancy rates are 10%, just for example, and you're struggling to fill your place up. People are going to start moving for a better experience in social life, not the 1 month free. Not if somebody next door opens up a place and says, oh, we're going to give you 1 month free. So imagine let's say this, your friend lives at another community, co-living community down the street, and they drag you to a few events, and then you're like, whoa, these events are so cool, and the people that live here are really cool. I get along great. Gosh, where I live, they only do 2 events a month and nobody shows up, and I don't really know many people there. I'm not really comfortable, so they're going to, obviously, they might move just strictly based on that, strictly because the experience is better at the other place. And make sure you guys are allowing your residents, which I know a lot of you are already, to bring guests, bring friends, bring them into the events in the community and the gathering. Bring the outside in, because that is the easiest way. That's free marketing, first off, and it's word of mouth. So then they get to see, other people see how cool your community is. And then, again, because, okay, this is another point that I think people aren't realizing, how much easier it's going to be, how much the barrier of entry to jump around and move is so much easier, because again, all these places are furnished. So most people are minimalist. Most people have a suitcase and a backpack, and they're like, well, not really having fun here. I'm going to jump to the next co-living place. And they don't have to hire a mover and pack their stuff and move heavy furniture. So these, again, are things that I'm just kind of future pacing of what could shift and change. Especially because, again, there's more and more people getting into the co-living game. There's more multifamily communities that are converting over to co-living, student accommodation converting to co-living. So it's just this tipping point that's happening really quickly. I myself have been co-living for years, so I could speak from experience. I love it. This is a picture of my current tribe here in San Diego. Great guys, so I'm just super passionate about co-living in general, and I obviously eat, sleep, and breathe it and live it. And so, here's a funny stat. People that actually are happier in your community pay rent on time. Okay, and the way you can gauge that in your own community Obviously, you can do that with tech, right? On a more automated basis, but you guys can do what's called a net performer score. So NPS, have them rate how happy they are, how likely they are to refer you to a friend from 1 to 10. So 10 being the best. And then you take that data and then you can easily figure, line it up to who's paying rent on time and who's not. So again, keeping them happy makes for even a better, you get rent, your rent's being paid on time. You guys aren't chasing people down. I don't hear of rent being paid late as an issue really in co-living much, but definitely, again, get ahead of that. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the IKEA effect. This was actually something that I just learned recently, which is really cool. I never thought about this. It's if you have stake in the co-living community, if they're going to help you guys activate it. So again, you guys want to proactively start it, help grow it, but also get your residents involved too. And if they have that stake in building your community and helping, put the home together, put the community policies in place, that makes such a bigger impact. They have more buy-in because, the IKEA effect essentially says we value the things we make more than the things we don't make. So you're like putting this IKEA furniture together and you'll actually value that piece of furniture more than you would something you just bought that was already put together. So we just need to really, make sure you guys are, helping facilitate that, and also make sure you guys are having a positive impact in the surrounding neighborhood, like your immediate neighbors. And, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. And then also small businesses in the area. Go introduce yourselves to the local coffee shop and talk about, your concept, and that some of your residents and guests might be swinging by. And maybe you get sometimes you can even get like a promo or coupon code for your residents to use, but just building a really tight local community, not just within your co-living concept. So accountability, I'm going to go over these 3 frameworks. Accountability would be, and again, you want to make sure your co-living home fosters community. And these are the frameworks you guys can use. Weekly masterminds, quarterly retreats you guys can host, holding each other accountable for your guys' goals within the community. Developing just a culture of support and trust is huge. Having values is massive. I only know of a few communities. Ours actually has, we have a set of core values for our house that we all abide by. And then connectivity, meaning, smaller goals, niche communities. So sometimes the larger operators have micro communities within the macro community because it's so big, people kind of niche off and break off into smaller pods. And that's totally fine. Group bonding, so making sure they're connected through activities. This could be health, fitness, hiking, monthly bar crawls. So it doesn't have to be all healthy stuff. It can be something fun, deep conversations, gatherings. And I will have some books, you guys, at the very, very end. I'm going to give you a couple amazing book recommendations that go even deeper to give you guys ideas. And then lastly, responsibility. This is the third. Having chairs in the house. So like in our home, we have like, a tech chair. They handle all the technology in the house. And then we have, somebody that's handling, events. So an event, actually that's mine. I'm the event chair in our home, which I love. I love throwing events. So again, giving each person a responsibility makes them even more connected in your community. Like, whoa, I have a role. I'm contributing to this house or this community. An active role, and it's a volunteer role, but I love doing it because I feel like I'm giving back to the community and everybody's playing their own part and, contributing and iterating the design and the decoration of the home. So my home I was in 3 years ago, and it was like a frat house. Everybody knows that. The cups didn't match and the silverware was like plastic silverware. And now, I came back and it was like the house grew up. They painted it. They got new furniture, we have nice glasses and beautiful silverware. And, and each person that entered that home played a part in that. And added something special to the home. There's candles burning now, and there's a ton of plants in the home, which is really cool. But each person that moved through the house since I've been gone had added those features. So again, just really offering that to your residents and guests, saying you guys are open to ideas to decorate or to do something cool in your place. And then another set of frameworks is going to be, or just some breakdown is like tribe. So obviously, people, again, sub-tribes or one big tribe, targeted advice, especially if you guys have if you guys are mainly working with entrepreneurs or creatives, making sure that there's advice and classes and meetups that cater to that. Also, a sense of belonging. At the end of this, I'm also sharing a TED Talk that an amazing one of a book author that dives even deeper into the sense of belonging and how to use gatherings to facilitate this. And there are actually, so building community, it varies with age and interests. So please keep that in mind, right? Whether it's families, whether it's, millennials or Gen Z that are mostly living in your communities, which that's like the main group right now. Those are the early adopters, but soon, and actually already, we're already seeing co-living for families and then co-living for seniors, which is exciting. So that, different generations have different preferences. So just be a little bit mindful of that. And, you guys can do different events for different, micro communities within your larger community, but depending on their age. So just making sure stuff's available for different types of people and different ages. Here's some brain pod questions that you guys can ask your residents. Getting them involved, like, is massive. So these are just things to consider with the future of living, and asking them, how can we scale? Like, how are we able to build a sense of, feedback in our current culture? So again, asking your residents and your guests, but also asking your team, those that are running really big teams, having these questions to your team, like, how do we really do this? And asking the residents, how do we measure and increase the sense of belonging in our space? Like, what's the best, like you guys tell us, how should we measure that? What's the best measurement? Should we ask you each month? Like, how often would that shift? Okay, here's another little pet peeve of mine. This is, okay, I see that, who's really guilty of this? I hate to say it, but it's real estate developers that have been developing, or property managers that have been in the game for like over 10 years, 20 years. They're just using this very generic branding, and I know some of you guys have already seen it. So like stock photos, and then they say the word community, but they're like, you just could tell looking at the website. So just make sure your concept has a very unique heart and soul and message, and USP, unique selling proposition. Again, hotels and hospitality nail this, so definitely try to model them. They're doing an excellent job of this. But just make sure, again, because that's what's going to set yourself apart. So it's not necessarily, some of these companies, like, don't get intimidated by these companies raising huge amounts of venture capital. I think if you nail community, you nail brand, you have a heart and a soul to your community, that's massive. And just putting that effort into doing that. And let's see here. We have the community checklist. This is on, you guys can just download this whenever you want. It's on the colivingco.com. If you guys haven't already, we pushed this out in January. This will help you more, kind of, especially the larger guys, kind of breaking down, engaging community by using the wheel of life. That's really cool. We use that at our house every quarter, like rating every section of your life on a scale of 1 to 10. So you guys can download that. We've got, again, team, okay, is making sure your guys' team that's operating is 110% on board on building community, that they care so much about meeting the people. So somebody asked me recently, like, what kind of community manager should we hire? I was like, definitely somebody outgoing, like, without a doubt. They have to be extremely outgoing. They have to love talking to strangers, and meeting new people and getting them involved and getting them active in the community. So it's essential for you to have happy team members in order to make that happen, because they're the ones communicating and cultivating your community on your behalf. And they have to communicate it 24/7. And if, you know, they're the ones spending the most time with your residents, probably more than you, they're the ones interfacing the most. So make sure they learn everybody's names and they really put effort into that. You guys have heard me tell the story a million times about Zoku in Amsterdam. I mean, they learned my name from day one. They would come up to me every couple of days, you know, invite me to different events. Hey, Christine, really hope you can meet, you know, see us at the wine event tonight. And I saw the email in the morning, but I'm like, oh, I don't know. But just him coming to me would be like, make that much more of a difference. So it was just, you know, it was awesome. So make sure you guys really put that active, you know, effort into learning people's names and building, having your team, you and your team, essentially. And you can automate. You can automate it also, part of it, not all of it. So again, you know, through email, through an app, you guys can, you know, make sure you're notifying them about the events. You have an online calendar. They can see the events. They get the push notifications on their phone. However, still take the extra step and remind them. And let's see here. And I love saying this. I say this all the time from stage. I really believe that like technology, like everybody's afraid the robots are taking over. Like I know technology and humans can work together, like, and it's perfect. It's like it automates and it just facilitates. And so I say that all the time. I'm like obviously a massive proponent for that. You know, and again, Zoku, which I just mentioned. So everybody has different approaches, amazing examples of how they do this. You know, again, Zoku's very hands-on. They even have like a family dinner every Tuesday night. I've only stayed there one night, but I was co-working from there for a couple months. The Collective, they're the ones that are doing like 80 events a month at least, maybe even more now. Upstart is amazing. They just took like a whole chunk of their residents for like up to a cabin in Big Bear a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, imagine that, right? So you're living in a community that's taking you up to Big Bear up in the mountains in California. For those that don't know, sorry. I know there's people from around the world on here. You know, and just having like a fun, like almost like camp for the weekend. So they're literally leaving their co-living place, going somewhere else for the weekend. That's massive. Again, like they're going to be diehard residents and guests of Upstart versus moving somewhere else. Tech essentials. Again, you know, if you want to scale, you got to automate as much as you can. And making sure your team and your residents can engage with the community, contribute, stay updated. You know, the better the experience, the better the community, right? And then it's efficient. They can pay their rent, they can see what events are coming up and all that stuff. Resources for you guys. Okay, so we came up with, I went fast. I told you I would talk fast. Coming up towards the end of this, so I'll have time for questions. We're going to email the recording, of course. Our team will email that, but we'll also email you framework. We came up with this week. Just some like inspiration for you guys. Of course, you could brainstorm with your team. You could use this as, you know, some ideas, different categories, maybe some fun wellness events like meditation, yoga, running, business, you know, networking events, masterminds, brain pods, learning, you know, and then again, community and giving back. Like how can they volunteer in the local community? That's huge. Again, bringing outside people into your place is even better. So we'll give you this PDF that you can use. And here are the books that I was mentioning earlier. So The Art of Gathering is incredible. I've seen Priya speak live and it blew my mind. On just the science and the meaning and why it matters. And again, she's the one that also, if you want to write this down, she has a TED Talk, so you can kind of you can watch that first, and if you like it, definitely get the book. It's amazing. And she actually it was like an interactive workshop with us for an hour, and it blew my mind. It was really, really cool how she was able to connect like 60 strangers together. Another one that just came out is, and I know Chris really well, is Gratitude and Pasta. He's hosts a dinner party called 747, and he's hosted, I forget how many, an insane amount of dinner parties this guy has hosted. I went to one in Los Angeles last year, actually. This is a photo of us. So I didn't, you know, I only knew one person there, but by the end of the night, I was so connected with everybody because of the way the dinner was done, the question that was asked. We all helped make the pasta. So we worked together as a team, and that's how you connect people. Because as you guys already know, I don't have to say, it's been said a million times, you know, loneliness is a massive epidemic, like very concerning. And how do we kind of pull back together as humans, as tribes? Last book I'll recommend is The Art of Community. So 7 Principles for Belonging. This is also a great one to really dive deep into community and the importance for belonging. And then I always want to talk about the Coliving Hub, which is a nonprofit organization I sit on the board of. And so definitely it's colivinghub.co if you want to learn more. It's the only organization in the world for the actual operators of co-living. So definitely check them out. Our conference is in Los Angeles, April 25th, 26th. However, we are going to speak, we're having a call this week. Just kind of really having a contingency plan. You know, I know people are traveling from around the world. I know a lot of travel is getting cut off. It's super unfortunate. It breaks my heart because it's having a negative impact on the economy. So we will keep you posted on the conference that's coming up, whether we do it virtually or in Los Angeles, we will keep you posted. But regardless, great association to check out. And in our books, we're doing 2 more versions of the book. We've updated it since the other version is dated pretty much a little bit because it was 2018 and so much has changed. So we're doing a book we're publishing specifically for investors and then specifically for large operators. Really excited those come out this month. We're putting the final touches on them. And then lastly, if you guys don't know about the show, you can check it out on YouTube. So again, it's kind of been weird for me to talk this whole time. I love hosting operators and interviewing them, and I just ask questions and they do all the talking, and they're so generous with their knowledge and sharing their journey. So a big thank you to everybody that's been on this show, done over 100 of them. So you can check that out. Again, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes. So you can listen. The video is really cool because then you really get to see the operator and kind of feel more connected to them, obviously. And I am ready. So I should have had cappuccino this morning, so I was even more hyper. So I've got a few questions it looks like are ready. So I will, if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, we can do that too. So let me jump out of the screen share. And you can even go on video if you want. So let me click a couple things here. But yeah, just make sure if you do want to ask a question, just first click unmute, which should be on your bottom left. And if you want to share your video, you can share your video. If you're shy, you don't have to. So either way. In the meantime, I had 2 questions come in on chat. So core values. I know I meant to screenshot them and then put them into my slide deck. The core values of my house. I meant to take a picture. They're actually written on a white dry erase board in my house. Let me see if I can, I did. I had them saved in my phone, luckily, but they're also written on our dry erase board. So great question, Kat. I will read them to you. Ours are, and you could copy them. We know that's the biggest form of flattery, so you can copy our house values if you want, but you might want to come up with your own with your residents. Accountability, integrity, growth, health and fitness, support, vulnerability, and a group 10. And let me explain the group 10 one. That means that everybody has to be, all 6 of us have to be at a level 10. If there's something that we don't agree with, or if there's something new we're going to implement, and some of us are like, oh, like, I don't know, that kind of drops me down to a 7, then we try to just keep, I know it's very interesting, and it actually works for us, which is amazing, but we just want everybody to always be at a group 10. And if you're not at a group 10, like, why not? You know, why are you at a 7? Is it dishes in the sink or whatever? I don't know. Again, we work really well together and we live really well together. So those are our house values. And yeah, we will get called out if something is out of integrity, whether personal. Somebody will say it and say, hey, that's not really all in integrity. So we love that. Next question. Oh, somebody's on. Is somebody on? Is there an audio question? I thought I heard something. Okay, you can download the sheet. The next question is downloading the first kind of checklist we showed. It's on thecolivingcode.com. I have a ton of resources. We never talk about that site. My team, we put all our previous, we have weekly email digest about co-living every single week. We'll make sure all you guys are added to it. It's kind of like the top news of the week. So all our archives are listed on on the colivingcode.com. There's a bunch of free resources on there. The show obviously links to the show and some other checklists. So you can go have fun on that website. There's tons of stuff on there. Okay, and the next question, Kat with the questions, thank you. How to deal with one person in the community, turns out the wrong one, disrupts the balance, although the onboarding was very good. Oof, that one's tricky. I mean, you don't want the bad apples spoiling the bunch at all. So, maybe just politely, have like an honest conversation with them. See if you guys can get on the same page first. Give them that chance, because maybe they don't know. They're not mind readers. Maybe they don't know they're disrupting the whole community. Just have a very honest, it's going to be tough, a tough, honest conversation first so that you give them that chance. And then after that, just say, then you're just going to say, look, like, honestly, this isn't a fit. Like, we're going to have to ask you to leave the community. Worst case, maybe you have to pay for them to pay a little bit for their moving expense. I don't know. I mean, again, there's like different levels you'll have to take it. Luckily, knock on wood, I say this all the time, I haven't heard of any horror stories. If you guys have them, email them to me, because even when people ask, I'm like, honest to God, like, I haven't heard of any super crazy stories in co-living, because the type of person that agrees to co-living is a certain type of person. They love community. They're usually honest. They don't steal. They're more evolved. They're higher EQ, emotional intelligence. So yeah, I hope that helps. Keep me posted on how you handle that and how it works out. But yeah, the onboard, people, just like a job interview, maybe you onboarded them and it was great. Just like the interview of a job could be great. And then they get in the job and you're like, what is going on? So yes. Okay. Okay, questions?
Hi, Christine.
Hi. Yes, is this Inez?
Yeah, it's Inez here.
Hey.
I would like to ask you, what do you think about like scaling density without losing the privacy? For example, what about putting locks in the doors and stuff like that?
I mean, check with your city. I mean, I think locks, are you talking about lock on the exterior door or the interior bedroom door?
In the bedroom doors, like, should we lock them? Because I've seen spaces where they unlock them in order to have more community.
Yeah, every place I've stayed at, every home, all the doors are always unlocked. All the doors are wide open, even to the bedrooms usually. Because again, I think it gives that level of trust. You come into a colo, you're like, wow, like everybody's leaving their doors open and laptops are out and iPhones are out, and automatically, and again, those are smaller scale communities. I'm trying to think of larger ones. I mean, obviously I think every door should have like an interior lock for privacy. But yeah, if you're talking about an exterior lock to the bedroom and that everybody's always like locking their doors when they leave the bedroom, that gives me the sense of like, okay, what is this like a not safe? Actually, let me ask, what city are you in?
Gran Canaria, in Spain.
Yeah, I've been there. That's where our last conference was last year. So that might be a city that, again, if there's more theft or crime, which, I mean, that's a great city. I think you guys are fine. If you have more people coming in and out, more nightly stays, more digital nomads. So I think that's a case by case. I can only speak from in Southern California, like we've never locked any doors.
Perfect, thank you. And another question, what would be a great onboarding for someone that is staying like more than a month?
A great onboarding process?
Yes.
Definitely. How many residents do you have?
I don't have any residents. I'm a user experience designer, just researching into co-living.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Onboarding is a massive, it might take me, I think we'll go over an hour. Yeah, I mean, like quick tips would be trying to get the residents part of it. Okay. Don't just start moving in strangers. Try to make, make it available to the residents to also help on like interviews. Sorry, let's start with interview. Let's have them a part of the interview. Say, hey, this person's thinking about moving in. It can be done through video. It can be done through Zoom, just like this is. Hey, we're going to jump on Zoom. If you want to, great. If you want to meet the new resident, great. Or interview them, great. If not, no big deal, because you're never going to get everybody on. So I'd say interview, get the residents involved. Onboarding is just, making sure that person comes in, they feel at home, you show them around, you get them on the Wi-Fi, you introduce them to everybody, versus just like, here's a key, have at it. Because like, if I would just feel like not like a welcomed guest, like I'd be like, what do I do? Where are the cups? Those would be my quick tips. So another question, in bigger communities is difficult as you have more people coming in and out, cleaners, handyman. Again, so it's a case-by-case situation on the locks on the doors, and it's going to be size of the community, maybe city you're in, around the world. So totally your guys' call on that. What else? Okay, another question, Esther, thank you. What is your first tip for an operator who is starting to organize events and wants to strengthen the community of all the students who live in the houses it manages? We are Vivo, the first operator in Italy. I love Italy. And you guys are expanding to France and Spain. Congrats. Wow. Okay. First tip, definitely use the framework and brainstorm some really cool ideas with your team. Get your team involved, get the residents involved, send an email. Hey guys, again, like the worst thing is people are throwing events that like the residents don't even care about, because the operator, like executive team, said, oh, let's do this event, it'll be fun, and nobody shows up. So I always want to get the buy-ins of the residents. Actually, I'll give 2 real life examples. This week, actually tomorrow, we do it once a month at my home. We do this wine night, and we do it once a month, and the 6 of us invite our networks, and there's going to be like 40 people if it's at our home, and we'll have wine, and everybody just brings a bottle of wine tomorrow. And actually we're asking them to bring a book that had an impact in their life to give away. So everybody's going to give a book to somebody else and walk away with a book that they didn't have. And so it's kind of cool. But we, the 6 of us, spent 30 minutes to decide on that book trade idea. This is the first month we're trying this, because we wanted not to just have a wine night. We wanted to make it special and have people remember the event. So again, let your community come up with the events, and you help and you guys support. Hey guys, like we're going to support you. Here's we're going to give you this much of a budget. Like, what do you guys want to do? And then they're like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. Again, getting them engaged, getting them involved is massive on these events. And then reminding them, texting them. I mean, we do a graphic on Canva.com is a really cool resource, especially if you're not a graphic designer, because I'm not. Canva, Canva, and you guys can make a cute little image in like 5 minutes flat, and you can text the image to everybody, and you can email this image, and you can put it on social media, and you can tell the residents in person. That's another tip, you guys. Like again, if it's one email, hey, we're having a wine night, maybe 5 people would show up. We're literally texting all 6 of us text the image and like the person's name. Hey, Mike, really hope you can make it next week. We're doing our next wine night. Like super, super proactive on getting people to the event, reminding them of the event, making sure they feel like you really want them there, because you do. Like, hey, Jean, like really hope you can make it tomorrow night. So sorry, that was a long answer. And next question. You can ask me anything at all about co-living. I've never done this live Q&A. This is fun. Okay, hello.
Hey, it's Matt from Conscious
Matt.
Coliving.
Yes, welcome, welcome.
For my video real quick.
Oh, good. See, at least one person's not camera shy.
How you doing, Christine? Thank
good.
you for sharing these insights with us. This is definitely something I'm also trying to crack as well. The community code in co-living, and I totally agree that it's like the #1 USP for co-living.
Amen.
So yeah,
I love it.
For sure. Yeah, I guess my question is a big question for me. Definitely with like bigger operators, but it's what is the actual role of like the community facilitator or the community manager? Um, and sometimes you see it being blended with like a front of house role, but I want to see like what you kind of think of. I mean, I'd love to hear your opinion as well of like what the actual role of a community facilitator should be. Because personally, I don't think the two should blend, right? Um, I think it gets a bit risky when you're blending the front, like the operations roles with the community roles. But it's a tricky balance to play with.
That is a great question, Matt. No, thank you. I agree 110%. However, like in the startup mode, it's almost like you almost have no choice. So like, again, depending on the scale of your operations. So some of the people on here are like scaling up, but they're starting. And I know you have experience at the collective, so you've seen big community
Yeah.
happening. But in the very beginning, it is probably going to have to be, actually, sometimes it's the operators. So the operators doing everything. They're wearing every single hat. I can speak from experience with Kndrd quarters. I was like everything. I was the operator, the owner, the resident. We had a housekeeper, luckily, but I still was like coordinating with them, and I was handling community and events. Well, I did it all in the very beginning. But then as people scale their operation, that front desk person or, that's managing reservations and answering inquiries in the phone and et cetera. I know it's more like, admin type of a role, but they're gonna probably also gonna be in charge of running events because, maybe they're just starting out, they're doing 4 events a month to start. They're gonna be the ones that are facilitating the community, learning everybody's name. And then as it scale, and then every operator will know the point. They'll know you'll feel the pain and the stretch and the breaking point of like, oh my gosh, this poor person cannot do both anymore. Let's hire a part-time, community manager. Hey, let's give somebody half off rent to become the community. That's the best, right? Because they live on site. Look, that person is so outgoing and they're friends with everybody. Like, hey, do you want a discount on your rent to be community manager? And then again, then it becomes a bigger role down the road, depending on how many people you're managing.
Yeah, cool. No, totally agree. Yeah, and there's definitely this kind of like fine line of also having the boundaries if you're living in house and you're working in house. Basically, it can get a little. I know from just doing that at the collective, but you need
you
to
were
know.
you were living there too at the same time?
Yeah, I was living and working there for 6 months, and then I stayed working with them for longer. But at
Yeah.
least for 6 months, I was living and working on site.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you're right. And that's, again, but yeah, some people just really need that discount in rent. So they're like, because I've talked with the people that are living on site and managing the community. Like I've talked one-on-one with them, like, no. And they're like, no, like, it's great. I love it. And it's easy. But I'm like, are they asking you questions at like all hours? And they're like, well, yeah, of course. Cause I live here. Like, okay. I mean, as long as they know that.
Probably the best way for you to learn how to say no.
I know, right? Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Matt. Okay. Any other?
This is Christian. Hi, Christine.
Hey, Christian, how are you?
Good. I also turn on my video for a bit.
Please.
Just to show my face.
Christian with Salto. You guys, I tell everybody about Salto. If you're going to put wireless access control, please do this. Please, the keys, no more real keys anymore, you guys.
My video is not working, but anyhow.
Okay.
So I just wanted to comment the really valid question by Iris. I think it's totally, I 100% agree that we also see the trend from a locking perspective that in shared clusters, rooms will be maybe not anymore equipped with locks in a shared cluster, in a shared living concept. There are always aspects which speaks for a locking equipped solution and against. So, in the total approach, I would say look after the emergency exit rules, look after insurance appliance, and then also if then the insurance would force somehow a locking solution, it could be also what I call the lock-a-lock case. So having a short, not a safe, not particular safe, but having a cube which is locked, where you can lock your belongings, which then also applies for the along the insurance guidelines. So that is a way where you can maybe navigate with an open door mentality and concept, but also force the insurance. So that's my input for you.
Yay! No, Christian, I should have had you answer that question. This is your wheelhouse. You're the expert in that. Yeah. I love that. So yeah, the insurance. So if there was so if somebody knew, okay, my stuff's insured right when I move in, my laptop, whatever. So like it's that extra comfort. And also, you're right, and definitely checking fire law with the fire department. I think it's New York City. I think you can't even have like door locks on interior doors from the outside in because of the fire department. There's a law. Certain cities.
Yeah, I mean, you can always equip even such locks or such doors with a locking system, and then it needs to be a special one to be then applied and works accordingly the law. But there's also another law where you should look at, but it's also, certainly for the New York buildings, it's look at the tax exempt and tax laws. Maybe you are maybe even not allowed to go according with a locking solution per dorm if you would like to use a lower tax system. So that could be another rule you should look after.
Oh, good. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, of course.
It was really insightful. Thank you. Awesome. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Okay. Any last minute questions? I got time. I'll take one more question. And then again, the mute, if you want to unmute, it's just the bottom left. You kind of like mouse over if you need to unmute. Oh, another question on the chat. Co-living for older generations, what are my thoughts on it? Oh, it'll be massive. There's already, there's some like Golden Girls houses that are being, put together with some, some senior women. I see more and more of it happening, which is super exciting, because people would ask me that last summer. I was speaking on stage in London, and somebody was really upset. They're like, it's not fair, it's only millennials. And I'm like, look, the millennials are the early adopters. I'm sure it'll be for everybody. And now I'm already seeing a lot of senior housing communities, co-living communities, like active ones happening. So I love it. I love that it's for all ages. It should be for everybody. Again, it's community. It's like-minded people. It's, again, the marriage rate is declining. People are waiting longer. That's why the pet industry, just so you guys know, the pet industry is massive. It's massive because people are lonely, so they get a pet. So, or they co-live, right? One or the other. So yes. Awesome. So let's see here. And okay. No more chat questions. Last call for any video, audio questions. Again, you guys can always reach out to me and my team here at Kndrd. It's hello@kndrd.io. If you want to email us or social media, we're like all over the place. You can always get a hold of our team. They're amazing. And a shout out to my team for helping me put those slides together, which was great. Very helpful. So I will conclude now. Again, thank you so much. I really want to do that. We already have some ideas for future ones. We really want to do these once a month. So keep your eyes open. I know this one I put together very last minute. So I'm glad you guys were able to join us. And we will see you next time. Thank you.